Happy Pilgrim Fools, fellers. Well, at least it was. But anyways, another day, another year, another April Fool's event. You might be wondering though, why is 3D reviewing a weapon and starting off with the April Fool's event? To answer that question for you, the viewers, it's because April Fool's 3 introduces the first ever event weapon, and that is the Decaying Eclipse. The Decaying Eclipse is a medium-sized sword. I don't know what else to call it, but to summarize it, it means that it is a sword that shares both short sword and greatsword traits. You obtain this weapon from doing the Pilgrim 5 Crowns event by going to the land of New Old Land and more, and conquer the 5 crowns and talking to the captain NPC and going through all their cutscenes and dialogue for the first time. I have a full guide to the land of New Old and more and how to get this weapon, but I'm not sure if this is still obtainable in private servers because the event is over now. Anyways, this weapon's gimmick is that its heavy is a small dash forward with 3 slashes, dealing the weapon's base damage as well as inflicting the bleed debuff. Alright, now onto the stats. The Decaying Eclipse is a dark element sword that has a base damage of 33, a base swing speed of negative 10%, and a base range of 8. Very underwhelming set of stats, but like, it's an April Fool's weapon, you kind of don't really need to try for something like this, and the April Fool's events tend to be jokes or just medium difficulty to easy, so like, this makes sense for what it is. Alright then, now onto the facts or trivia about this weapon. Honestly, something that surprised me about this weapon was that this is the first event weapon to come out in Pilgrimmed for its 2-year run so far. You'd think they'd add something for the Halloween or Christmas events, but no, it's the April Fool's update. To be fair though, the timeline between the Halloween events and Christmas events are pretty stacked because in 2023, they put all their time into the Sweetberry Catacombs update of September, so they just wanted to take a break and take it easy up until April Fool's. There were concept weapons that Deanbag wanted to do, but never got into development. In 2024, we obviously had the Raindrops update for the winter season, and this update is the most anticipated Pilgrim update of all time, so it's better that they poured all their time and effort onto the Raindrops update instead of making some weapons for Halloween or Christmas. Okay, maybe I kind of got off track there and went on a whole history lesson for this game, but you get it. No weapons related to any event up until April Fool's 3, aka the 5 Thrones. Okay, that was also a decently long segment. Let's just get to the builds. Usually, I would have a non-crit or crit build, and most of the time, they'd be somewhat similar in DPS or damage. And it's mostly just like preference. Like, do you like crit? Go with this build. Do you like non-crit? Go with this build. But due to the frying pan ability being fixed, of being able to get 50% extra crit and extra damage when an enemy is on fire being fixed, because for some reason before that wouldn't work, as well as Royal Antenna getting a buff and its gimmick of bleeding every hit, it's pretty much inevitable that I have to go a crit elemental build of Tektite. I'm sorry guys, but I have to. This build is actually like, pretty good. Well, to be fair, it's Tektite with debuffs, but it's even better now because they buff Frying Pan and Royal Antenna. Alright then, now onto the bosses. Usually, I'd have 1 boss per build, but I'll just show this weapon on 2 bosses since I would have another build for the other boss, but might as well just let this build just rain terror on this video for just the 2 whole boss sections. So we're just going to be doing it on Ultfar and Kai Lazarai. So first off, we have Ultfar. This weapon does pretty good DPS against this boss. I mean, Tektite builds are pretty much just a hard counter to this boss due to this high defense and damage reduction. I'll just let the rest play out. So next, we have the DPS test on Kai Lazarai. Again, it's a pretty high burst damage build, so it's bound to do good against Kai Lazarai. And you guessed it, it does do pretty good on him. So I'll just let the rest of the fight play out. Alright then, now let's get onto the ratings of the Decaying Eclipse. For the attainment method, I like to give this weapon an outstanding 10 out of 10. I genuinely love the concept of an event weapon and the way you have to traverse the 5 thrones and explore all the lazy but fun and cooling looking areas just to end up at what you would think be a very difficult boss just for this bastard to die instantly. For the weapon itself, I would like to give it a 7 out of 10. I think the design and the name of this weapon is really cool and definitely does not feel like an April Fool's weapon, but the reason why I gave it a 7 out of 10 is just because of how similar the weapon feels to just every other short sword. Like, it's a medium-sized sword, but it just feels so similar. The stats are also nothing to scoff at. They're very basic, but at least the heavy is something, and you can also use a tire brace with it, so that's pretty cool. For the gimmick itself, I'll give it a 7 out of 10. It's nothing really that unique. It's just a normal 3-hit sword spin like most swords have, with no changes except that you apply bleed debuff and you get a little dash. It looks cool, but it's not really that much, I guess. But it still looks pretty cool, nonetheless. Anyways, this is the end of the video. If you enjoyed, make sure to like, subscribe, comment what weapon you would want me to review next, and we'll see you fellers next time. Goodbye.